Good morning and welcome to day 12 on 21 Days on Promises. We are finally in the New Testament. We are in the book of Matthew, and today we're in chapter 14 and verses 1 to 12. And the kind of brief synopsis is be careful what you promise and who you promise it to. We're going to be looking at the story of Herod and kind of how John the Baptist died and his kind of regrets on that too. So it's chapter 14, verse 1 says, At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus and said to his attendants, This is John the Baptist. He's risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers are at work in him. And then it tells the story of how John the Baptist died. It says, Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, It's not lawful for you to have her. Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered him a prophet. Now, what had happened is Herod saw his sister-in-law. He saw the woman that his wife was married to, or the woman that his brother was married to, and he kind of thought, I think I'd like to have her. And so he convinced her to leave his brother and marry him. Now, a little kind of weird, gross fact is that Herodias, this woman, was actually also his half niece. So very inbred family here. And so John the Baptist had said it's not right for you to have her, and Herod didn't like being told that. And so he had wanted to kill him, but he was really scared too. So in verse 6 it says, On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for them and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, he said, Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist. The king was distressed because of his oaths and his dinner guests, and he ordered that her request be granted, and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it, and then went and told Jesus. Now, a couple things is, one, be careful when you make a promise. When you make a promise, it should mean something. And Herodias, or our King Herod, swears an oath. Herodias, his wife, then goes and forces his hand. He's made this promise in front of a bunch of guests, and now he kind of has to follow through. And so the first thing is be careful what you promise. And the second thing is definitely be careful who you promise that to. There are some people that shouldn't be made promises to. And that's one thing, when we read this, we see that Herod made this thing, and it was sort of in a grand gesture because all of his guests were around. And then when he had to be held to that promise, it became very awkward, and he had to follow through, but he really didn't want to in that moment. So be careful what we promise, be careful who we promise it to. Hope you have a great week.